Let's say you have a set of microservices deployed, up and running, serving some customer purpose, adding some customer value, but it also has a lot of operational overhead in the sense that you have to manually do something to keep the lights on. There are a lot of alerts, things keep crashing all the time. A lot of your bandwidth or the team's bandwidth is going into maintenance work. And this is a problematic situation. In order to come out of this, you need to invest in building high quality software. Okay, that's the only way you can actually get out of this mess. How do you do that? One of the first things that I have seen in teams that have a lot of operational overhead is that they don't have good automated testing. The first step to creating an investment and a direction towards building high quality software, that is a software which has minimal operational overhead, does things on its own, doesn't need you to interfere too much, is to invest in good automated testing. Now, it's a topic for a separate video where I will cover what is a good automated testing, but start with investing in some form of automated testing that at least targets your key business flow. Okay, so second thing that you need to do is invest in better alerts. Okay, what is better alerts? Let's go to that, right? The first thing is, when we talk about investing in better alerts, we mean invest in alerts that are actionable. Okay, now why is it important to have actionable alerts? It's for two reasons. One is you tend to ignore alerts if they're not actionable. You'll just start ignoring them. And when you ignore alerts more and more, you sometimes might miss an actually important alert, right? Then it gets too late before you can react. The second reason is to prevent this alert fatigue. Okay? That is, you're getting a lot of alerts. Even if you're not ignoring them, you'll still have to respond to them, take some action, and that's really painful for the on-call. How do you do that is very simple. You actually start tracking the alerts where you cannot do anything, right? And then based on the tracking that you do, you just remove those alerts where you are doing nothing. That's it. Okay. The second thing is always have user impacting alerts. Okay. Why is it important to have user facing alerts or symptomatic alerts, not cause-based alerts? Is because if you focus on user-based alerts, then when the alert happens, it's actually reached a point where it's become an issue, right? Which means you need to then try to minimize as much as possible to go to that point, which then means that you will invest in automations and invest in creating systems that self-heal, right? When you have alerts on causes, it means that you need some manual intervention, some human to come in between and fix that, right, before it becomes a big issue. Instead, if you focus on having alerts on critical issues or alerts when there is user impact, then as an organization, your muscle tends to move towards building systems that self-heal. Okay. Some teams also just put alerts, cause-based alerts, because they have a manual tendency. They will just throw in people at the problem, and those type of teams tend to have cause-based alerts and not symptom-based alerts. The next thing you need to do in order to have a very high quality is in your software, of course, is to track the MTTR. MTTR is mean time to recover. Okay, now why do you do this? Tracking provides you the feedback. Okay, whenever some failure happens, you get a feedback on how much time it's taking to fix that feedback. And once you get that feedback, right, you naturally next time tend to think of building software or building in your solutions in such a way that recovery is fast. Note this, that software is bound to fail at some point of time, but good software versus bad software is not ones where there is no errors at all. That type of software does not exist. But good software is where recovery happens really quickly, in such speed that perhaps the users don't even notice that there was some failure. how do you reduce tech debt? Like, it's an interesting problem. First of all, what you need to do is you need to track the tech debt, right? Track it somewhere. Put it like in a Jira. Track it somewhere where you're like constantly monitoring. This is why putting to-dos in code does not help, because you don't generally track it that often. But put it in a Jira, and every sprint planning or every other week when you prioritize your work, look at the tech debt items also. The second thing that you need to do is, for each of the tech debt items you have, identify the business impact. Okay. Now, how do you identify the business impact? There are like 3 to 4 mechanisms. First is, will this lead to any failure, or is it already causing some failure? And what is the impact of the failure directly? Yeah. These type of tech debt is usually very easy to get prioritized. The second thing is, due to that tech debt, as some building something becomes slower, right? Here is where it's a little bit of an art. Make sure that you talk to senior engineers of the team and understand, if you have a hunch that, hey, this is something that's slowing us down in terms of building something, just talk to senior members of the team or other peers in the team that, hey, because of this tech debt, are we moving slowly? Now, once you have that, you can then make a good case of it, of how much faster we can build things and how much bandwidth, human bandwidth, we can save because of solving for the tech debt. That's another way to quantify the business impact. The third thing is, this is also very important, is, are we blocking our business scale up because of this tech debt? Okay, if you identify something like that, say because of a tech debt, there's a bottleneck, the system cannot scale beyond 1 million users. This is something that you can bring up to product team, or you can bring up to other senior engineers of your group, and basically tell them that, hey, in the next year, the number of users might grow above what we have right now. Look at the graph, and based on those graphs, you can usage graphs, and based on the graph, you can maybe do a rough projection of how much the traffic is going to increase, and based on that, you can make a case. The fourth thing is, like, what is time spent dealing with operational issues that you can save because you solved for a tech debt? That's also very important to understand. And all these things, right, is not something that a product manager can really think about. This is where like an engineering input is needed, because product managers are generally like in the what do I build next type of mode, right? This is where engineers come in and say, hey, no, like we need to take a pause. We need to fix these things before we can, build something new. You need to slow down before you can blitz scale. You need to slow down before you can go fast. Now, once you have these key line items, right, you need to then it's very trivial to prioritize based on the impact of each. If you have a clear case of an impact, I don't even think people will be questioning whether it should be picked up or not. So that's how you look at eliminating the tech debt. The final thing I want to say in how to ensure you deliver high quality software is you need to have this muscle to under commit and over deliver. How do you do that? Is you need to have that tough conversation with people who are saying this needs to be built faster if it can't be done, right? You need to look at it from two perspectives. One is, are we actually being slow, or is there we're already stretched too thin? There's no other way we can optimize our work, but there's a lot of pressure to deliver things fast. This is where we need to have that hard conversations, right? If you're really customer obsessed and not you're promotion obsessed, or if you're not dealing with someone who's promotion obsessed, who wants to show something good in their perf reviews quickly and move on to something else, but someone who's genuinely cared about performance and delivering value to the customer together, to them this won't be a challenge, convincing them that, hey, we are already doing whatever we can do, there's no scope for further things. we should be able to convince them. But ultimately, like, under commit and over deliver to your customers. Don't set too high expectations and then not meet it, right? That's bordering unethical territory. What you need to do is you need to set the right expectation on what you can do, under commit, and the customers pay for what they commit to. So if you have under committed, they're going to pay for whatever you told them that you're going to do, right? And then if you over deliver, that's like an icing on the cake. It builds like very good customer relationships. At the same time, it also builds very good software, right? Because you're not stretching too thin, you're not pushing unnecessarily. Nothing like that is happening, right? It's also important to under commit and over deliver. So hope these points were helpful in, or at least try these points out, see if they help in creating high quality software for your teams, and try to instill this with your team, with your organization. Talk to your managers about this. Many of the times, like if a team has like lot of operational overhead, it's because the managers don't know how to do their job properly. Like, I'm being blunt, that's the fact. So just share them this video if you have to, right? Thank you for watching, guys. Bye bye.